What is going on, everybody? Favorite vlogger, happy Monday. Second Monday in Denmark is a holiday, especially right after Påske, so you get number 2 Påske day off. Yes, gotta love it. One of the advantages of living overseas. I got a question from Nicholas. Nicholas lives in Copenhagen, wants to know, what are my thoughts about the Danish police? Because, of course, over in the States, we always got constant drama with police and stuff like that. And I actually got 2, 3 funny well, one of them's probably funny, the other 2 probably ain't so funny. And on a scale of 1 to 10, as 10 being severe and 1 being please, they're probably like 2 to 3s. I get straight to it. The first incident that I ran in since I came to Denmark was I was over at a friend's house. I got invited to a Super Bowl party. This was my first Super Bowl party over in Denmark. Now, you know, of course, the Super Bowl starts very late. It's mainly prime time Sunday, so it starts about 8 p.m. Translate 6 hours on top of that, so it starts about 2:30 in the morning here over in Denmark. So I went over to this guy's place, and of course, in Copenhagen, at that point in time, I did not have the luxury of having a car, so I had a bike. And right around halftime, I got tired, so I said, "Look, man, I'm going home. I'm tired. I'm gonna go pass out." Get on my bike, and I proceed to start biking home. And a police cruiser rolls by me, turns around, and hits me with the deep light, the big white light. I'm just like, "Oh man, what are you doing?" Tells me to pull over. So I, pull over on my bike, and I had on like this sports, like these 2-strap backpack. So the officer at that point in time comes out, and he proceeds to ask me something. At that point in time, I didn't have any Danish skills like I have now. I'm like, "Dude, I speak English, I'm sorry." So he asked me in English, he says they got a constant call reports about a black guy. That's the first thing I heard was a dark gentleman is what he said. A dark gentleman in this in this area that has stolen a 32-inch TV. Yeah, 32-inch TV, bruh. I'm on a bike with a backpack. Really? Come on, get a grip. So apparently it goes to show it wasn't me, but of course, I'm aware they're doing their job. And another incident while we're still in Copenhagen, I thought was really kind of, it wasn't cool, but from my point of view, it was cool to see. I think they had one of those protests in Copenhagen. Now, for those of you who don't know, they protest a lot. The teenagers are allowed to protest in the streets, and I forgot what this was, but I remember it literally took up like a whole entire block. And these kids, I forgot what they were protesting about, but there were a lot of them. And I mean, they had the SWAT people coming out, and they were banging on their shields and stuff like that. And they had on the riot gear and all that stuff. And I watched it literally from my apartment window, and I just thought, this is freaking awesome, man. This is cool as hell, because you would never see shit like this in the States. It'd be automatic tear gas, rubber bullets and all that stuff. You can protest, but you got to have a really good reason to protest. And these students outweighed the cops by like at least 600. Man, it was a lot. But what was cool about it was to watch, just this wave of people overtake these police officers. And I know these police officers are out there doing their job to quote unquote protect and serve. But, when the students are throwing stones and stuff at you, it gives no cause for you to take a baton and, and beat the shit out of them. And I happened to see one of them get hurt real bad. And after that, I felt really, really, really bad. But at the same time, you can't throw a rock at a cop and expect them not to do something. But the overall experience of that is what I'm saying was cool. So that was the other incident I had involving police cops. And then when I came over here to Jylland, now over here in Jylland, I noticed I don't really see cops, that much at all. Maybe rare occasion, I see maybe 1 or 2 out of a whole month. And that's about it, like a rare cop car or something like that. What happened was I was with one of my football training teams, and we were out on the field, and I remember hearing this motorcycle. Now it was about right around this time too. Actually, there was nothing I could really do. There were these kids on this moped, and apparently, thank God, there was some like teenage student chick that came across and saw what literally happened. They targeted my car, and they targeted another one of my friend's cars because there were two cars on the end that were easy to get into and take whatever they want. They went and they stole some stuff out of my car. Now, the funny thing about it was, this is the very first time I've ever had need to call a police officer, hey, this is what do I need to do? So me being a typical American, the first thing is, okay, to me, this is an emergency. So I did the stupidest thing, and I kind of could laugh at it a little bit now. I dialed what is the equivalent of 911, which is 112. That is emergency number. And of course, I didn't know, they have a specific set number just to call for police officers only. Just to say, hey, something's happening. I need you to come take a look. This is not an emergency. So I called the guy. I called the equivalent 112, whatever it's called. And the officer, the dude was being a douche. I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, he was trying. He wasn't really explaining to me that, hey, you're calling an emergency number. I can't really send a police officer out to you because there are probably 9 other real emergencies that are going on. So he was being a dick, the dispatcher. That's what I was looking for. He was being a straight up, asshole. And I literally, after a while, I finally got a hold of an officer, and I explained to the officer, and he was grateful, helped me out. Another one of my colleagues came over and said, okay, look, we're going to plastic up the car and everything, so don't stress. And I went home. What was funny was talking to the officer before that. He was like, "Well, who was the dispatcher?" I didn't get a name. I didn't know if it was, Joseph, Carlton, whoever. I was just like, the dude was just really an asshole. And what was cool about it was the officer was like, "Well, let me see your phone." And he went back on my phone and looked specifically what the timestamp was on my phone, and he related that back to when that call was made and who that dispatcher was that took that call. And he said, and the cool thing about it was the cop apologized for the dispatcher because dispatcher shouldn't have done that. He should have explained to me in a reasonable way and say, hey, look, this is what you do in this type of situation. So long story short, there was nothing negative about that with the police cop here in Uland, but the other two stuff in Copenhagen was pretty interesting. So for you, that's my story. I mean, of course, there's probably tons of million other more that have something more interesting. But for me, as this moment in time, I really have not had any like negative incidents with cops. And over here in Denmark, I think the police are pretty laid back. I mean, I've seen some riding skateboards and all the rest of this cool stuff. And they go out of their way to help you. They don't go around like, other certain police cops in other countries and eat donuts and all the other sort of stuff. But that's another story altogether. So thank you for your question, bro. I hope that's what you were looking for. For any of y'all that got any more other questions, stuff like that, you know what to do. Send it to me. And I'm not even going to finish out this story with the shameless plug because you know what to do about that. So any other questions y'all got for me, please send them on in, and I will try my best to answer them. I will check y'all next video. Peace.